The new Emperor's Children box is out.
I had a nightmare painting it. I mean, it just looked a mess. I was sitting there, I was crying. I've always been taught thin your paints, so I'm thinning my paints. And they're not covering anyway, because even straight out the pot, if you scrape the bottom of that pot and got the thick goo, it wouldn't cover.
The two thin coats thing is a nice catchphrase and everything, but it's very rarely the truth, is it?
I agree, pink is a nightmare.
Here's the issue with the pink, all right?
If I run into problems like this, I actually have a thing of like, I don't know if I can do better, because I haven't painted anything in a while.
Hello everyone and welcome to Paint Perspective episode 91. In this episode we're going to talk about what we really think of the new Emperor's Children miniatures, how we painted them, the struggles that we had, and we're also going to be doing our regular segments like hobby hacks. But first, how are we?
Yeah, not too bad. I had a little online paint purchase mishap that I posted about on Instagram, and a few people have I'd say people got more joy out of it than I was hoping, because obviously I'm the one that spent the money on it. But
What, joy from your misfortune?
yeah, everyone found it funny.
Okay,
Well, I was like, well, I'm the one that's like £6 down. Do you know what I mean? So,
I find it really funny with mistakes like that, because the stakes are so low.
Yeah,
you're
but it's so annoying.
I'm £2.50 deep on this
Yeah.
problem.
But they're still
Like-
just as devastating, aren't they? You sometimes even worse if you only spent $2.50 on something.
do you know what I mean? Like I've come to the conclusion, because you said, I think it was on a Patreon post show the other week when I was talking about some paints that I'd bought, and you were kind of laughing at the fact that I'd said, oh yeah, and I didn't spend anything on models, so I bought some paint instead, kind of thing, when I went to a shop the other week. And I've come to the conclusion that when it comes to painting and like hobby stuff, I'll chuck a fiver at anything. I will like it don't matter what it like, if it comes up in conversation and it's less than £5,
I'll buy it.
I'll get it.
Is there a rule for how many £5 purchases you can accrue?
Wow.
No.
£200 deep.
Yeah,
It's only a
literally,
fiver each
like,
one.
I'll
so-
literally like well, I don't know. We've mentioned it before, but when we were at like UK Games Expo, oh, this glazing medium, I hadn't thought about it at all. I didn't think I needed a glazing medium. Come up in conversation. George put it in my hand. Yeah, go on then, done. Like
You bought the primer as well.
I bought the primer as well. Probably
Yep.
come to about £5 all in or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I hope so anyway. Because that primer did not get much use, I tell you. The glazing medium is worth it. But yeah, so I'll just sort of, as long as if it feels like a small purchase,
You're going to love the hobby hack today.
I'll just, well, no, I'm not, because I'm
Another
end up
fiver's
buying it.
being spent.
So I bought these three paints, these 3 AK paints online. And like, I know that the way that paints are listed online with the digital renders and stuff is never going to be spot on perfect. But certain companies, I think, do it really well. Like certain ones are quite, I would say, reliable. I think most of the GW ones are pretty. You get what you see what
you know
see
the
what
colour
it is.
that you're buying.
Yeah. Like, and the names are so like with a company like obviously with GW, the names are so specific to them that just from conversation you know what's what. But then I think we've discussed previously when talking about paint is when they actually use like color names and stuff, like regular color names in their naming of their paints, it sort of leaves a bit of speculation, because it's like, well, what is
green?
What is light orange to you, and what is light orange to me? You know what I mean?
True.
Anyway, one of these, there was 3 metallic paints that I bought. One of them was dark aluminium. It's the brightest silver I've have in my paint collection. Like it's, I don't know what. I genuinely thought, have I been sent like has it been stickered wrong? Do you know what I mean? Like one of them. No,
There's no dark in it.
That turns out not. A couple of people replied saying, yeah, I had that as well. One of them was supposed to be like, I mean, we'll put the picture up because George loves doing that.
Yep.
One of them was supposed to be like a really bright gold. I think it's called pearl, the color. And in the picture, it looked like a really, like almost white, but like yellowy gold tint to it. So like a final edge highlight for gold, basically. I didn't really have anything like that. So I thought, oh, that'd be good. Just looks white. Just looks bright silver. They all just look bright silver. So I'm no longer buying paint online without having seen it in front of my face first. Like if if I'm buying paint for a first time, it's going to be in person now.
Yeah, I when I'm following a tutorial, sometimes if I need the paint, if I want the paints that an artist is using, I will then buy it because they normally have a list of paints that they've used in the tutorial, so I can kind of see what it's supposed to look like. So that's the only time I'll ever buy. I'm a bit afraid of buying paints from other companies that I'm not used to. I've just started to move into AK stuff because it's they're quite nice paints, but I won't just go and buy some random. You're a madman.
Yeah,
Ordering online blind is
It's
wild.
just crazy. Like paint
look, I
roulette.
trusted the system and it bit me. So
I had a weirdly similar experience at the weekend. I was out with my girlfriend and she wanted to get some makeup and she's like doing all the swatches of all the, the lip glosses on her hand and stuff as you do, whatever. And
that's
then,
what I do when I'm in I'm in like Element or whatever. Just like, just give that a little go on the hand.
They should do that.
We should normalise that.
We should actually normalise that, to be fair.
They should have a test pot the way that they have like test makeup.
I know we're joking, but that's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
Why don't they do that?
If any stores want to run with that, feel free.
Anyway, there'll be the little podium thing of all the makeup, and there's like the little colour swatch like on a bit of paper above it, like the examples, and then all the little testers. Nowhere close do they look anything like that.
I was going to say...
Not even the same shade. Not even the same hue.
I was going to say I wonder if, when you started talking about this, I was going to say I wonder if the makeup world is a bit more strict on it.
No. I was looking at it, I was like, is this a joke? Because she was like asking my opinion on the shade, and I'm like, oh, I like the look of that one. Pointed at the thing, got it out, she put it on her hand. I'm like, that's a completely different colour. It's completely different.
The one thing they do have, the makeup world, in common with the paint world is crazy names for all the different colours.
That's true.
They do have goblin green and stuff like that. Yeah.
I like the idea of the testers, though. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Why is no one doing that?
Why don't they do that?
I suppose, is it a similar thing to like, with makeup stuff, it's easy because you're going to be putting
just
it on
whacking it on your
you're going to be
skin,
putting it
aren't
on your skin anyway. So you're going to be putting it, so test it on your skin. Whereas number one, there's got to be some health and safety thing about them encouraging you putting paint on your skin.
You're taking
Number
a piece
two-
of primed sprue to every paint shop.
No,
and
you know
then
when you
just-
get like a sample of like aftershave or something, it's on a little bit of paper. They just have like a little paper.
A little bit of sprue.
Paper.
a little bit of sprue.
No, it's literally paper. A little bit of paper, that'll do. Put a bit of
No,
paint
I
on
think a little bit like a sprue dipper. You just dip your sprue in.
there. Like a Dairy Dunker.
I think you'd be better
I
off,
like that.
rather than the Dairy Lee sprue thing. I think you'd be better off if they just had a bit of plastic on next to the paint
With
that
the
had been
paint on it.
painted.
Yeah, instead of a picture of what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
No, I think that's too reasonable a solution to what I've proposed.
Well, until then, I'm no longer blind buying paint.
I would have thought any good model shop would someone would painstakingly sit there and do that off their own back, just paint up a little bit of sprue and just stick it to the front of the display on every single colour that they want to sell.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Like, what?
I'm for it.
Yeah.
What, are they scared?
Yeah. They might sell more paint.
They might do.
Probably.
You never know.
Because
Yeah,
sometimes
you
when
might-
you see it in the bottle, it's not like super vibrant, it's not really catching your eye. And then you see it on the bit of spray, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm looking for.
Yeah. First,
perfect paint.
I was dubious about that paint. I've seen it in the flesh. I'll have 2 pots.
Yeah.
That's how
exactly.
that'll work.
Yeah. So that's how it's going to be going for me from now on, I think.
You're going to take a little plastic dipper to every shop you go
I might have to revise my chuck a fiver at anything rule because
No, hold that thought until the end of
What
the
do you
episode and then we'll circle back.
What, reduce it to
I'll
£4?
end up buying it.
That's
The
the
amount
idea.
of stuff I just buy that like it's like the opposite to. Oh, James only does it on paint and models and stuff.
Yeah, but
I almost do it on like
Everything
stuff-
else.
Yeah, like more useless than that.
are you
then
just
there's
hunting
more
these
useless.
things down on purpose? So you like going onto websites and thinking, what?
No, I'll just
things
see them.
come
Oh, if they'll come up in conversation, I'll be like, yeah, I'll have a
That's
go on
only a
that. Yeah.
fiver. I'll have
I
it.
think for you, the issue is that all of these things have no resale value at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, I don't know, like everyone's talking about. Oh, I'll tell you what. This isn't a fiver actually. This is a different thing. Maybe we'll save that for the. No, we'll save it. It's too much of it's too big for the preamble. I think.
It's like the
It's more,
paintbrush.
it's more just me moaning about stuff that I bought as well.
Oh, we'll do it in the post show.
If you want to hear me moan about stuff I bought, stick
thing
around
I've
for the
bought.
Patreon post show.
Yeah. It's just like
That
things
was a
that you
bigger
buy.
purchase. That's a bigger purchase.
And
But,
these things like you buy and you think, oh, that's useless. And then it just goes in a drawer. And then you
yeah,
can't
I guess
use
what
it
I'm
every-
talking about is like, I'll hear a thing of like, oh, you can use, lollipop sticks for this. And I'll be like, yeah, I'll grab that.
10,000
What's that?
lollipops.
What's that? £2 for 100 of them. Yeah, I'll get that done.
Hmm.
I'll try it once, and then now I've just got 99 lollipop sticks at home that I can't do anything with. Do you know what I mean? It's stuff like that, really. Probably little hobby stuff.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't think that's the worst thing in the world.
No. It's
It's
funny
just
though.
a realization that I've come to where I do just say
In the
yes to
moment, you're
anything.
like, it's nothing. It's only a £5. And
Yeah.
then you realise,
if I added it all up,
yeah.
Yeah. I think we all do that though, don't we? We always see little things you think, oh, I'll just get that. That would be extremely useful.
I remember distinctly thinking when I first started out in the hobby,
Hmm.
oh my God, this paint is so cheap. It's like £2 for a pot of paint. Like, this is brilliant. Like, you just buy all the paint you want, and then you slowly realise once you've bought 20, 30 paints,
yeah.
you're actually in for quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I remember that sneaking up on me
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah.
So I feel that.
Although, I will say, we'll get to it in the main topic, but I used a paint in this whole, thing that we're doing, that we're about to talk about, that was a paint that I bought. I genuinely don't know why I bought it, like years ago. Like, there was literally zero use for it. And it for some reason, I needed it in this very project, and it's the first that I cracked it open for the very first time. So sometimes it pays off, but I'll get into that.
It's
when we
that-
talk
it's
about
that-
models.
I'll get it just in case. And
Yeah.
that paid off finally.
Yeah, although I think even saying I got it just in case is giving myself too much credit, because once I get into what it was, I don't know why I ever bought it. But that's yeah.
If you're a miniature painter, you'll know how important it is to have the right tools for the hobby, but it doesn't matter what brushes or paints you have if you can't see what you're doing in the first place. If you want to improve your painting, contorting yourself under a small, repurposed lamp from around the house, giving yourself a backache and straining your eyes just isn't going to cut it. That's why one of the biggest upgrades I've ever made to my painting setup was my Onyx painting lamp from Native Lighting. Its articulating arm allows me to sit in the perfect painting position for those long hobby sessions, and its super bright 2200 lumen, dimmable LEDs cast soft and diffused light on my models without any harsh shadows. As someone with a very small hobby space, by far my favourite feature is its adjustable mounting clamp, which attaches to the side of my desk, maximising my free workspace. And its daylight colour balance temperature of 6500K gives you the confidence that colours you are painting are accurate and your miniatures will pop on the tabletop. To upgrade your setup to the equipment we rely on here at Siege Studios, head to the link in this episode's description or go to siegestudios.co.uk/shop. I guess we can just get straight into the meat and potatoes then. Of course, the new Emperor's Children box is out. We've got it. Painted some of the models, so I thought we could talk about what we painted.
Yeah, it's not. It might not actually be out yet, but it's up. It went up for pre-order.
Is it pre-up for
Pre-order?
So
Is it
if
the
you
I mean,
did,
we've got it.
if you did want it, then it's probably on its way to you at some point.
At
soon,
some point in
but-
the future, you'll be able to buy it.
yeah, it's gone up for pre-order. We had it. We did some work on it.
Yeah, marvelled at it.
Do you want to talk about like the box and the models in it and
Yeah.
your thoughts
Yeah, should we
before we
start-
painted?
Should we start from kind of when the preview happened? So what's everyone's like? What was your standing on Emperor's Children before this? Did you have much interest, or have you ever dabbled in Slanesh
really.
stuff before?
I mean, I suppose the closest thing that I've ever come to sort of painting Slanesh is obviously the Noise Marine with the kind of the guitar thing back in the day. It just seems to be that model, and that's all I associate you with.
Yeah,
With Slanesh, and that's it.
For a
And
while, wasn't that like technically the only Emperor's Children model that they had?
but like the only
There was a brief
specific-
period in time.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
only one
Yeah.
in stock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because
it.
they just for whatever reason I guess they brought that back. That wasn't in
Yeah.
stock the entire time.
No,
right?
it's been on and off, hasn't it? Like,
And then for a while, yeah, it was like, oh, that's the only Emperor's
I
Children.
wonder if there's
character
not been
on-
much demand for it
Yeah,
back in the past.
well,
that got a model of the year, I think, when it came out.
yeah, I think it is.
Really?
Yeah.
It is cool, isn't it? It's a
I mean,
weird
it's
one
cool.
to get model of the
Yeah.
year, but it's cool. But like I'd done a Lord of Pain before, which isn't Emperor's Children, but it's the Slanesh demons thing,
Yeah.
which I actually really enjoyed painting. And I always had it in the back of my head, like, oh, I wouldn't mind doing a Slanesh
One day.
demons, some more stuff with that.
Yeah.
But of course, the thing about painting Slanesh demons is you don't have to paint any pink armor, really, because they're not really got much armor on them. They're all skin and leather and stuff like that. I wouldn't say I'd ever had much of a like huge interest in Slanesh overall, though.
I think of the 4 like chaosy gods, Nurgle has always. It's even. I don't know. Nurgle has always been higher up in my list than Slanesh.
Yeah,
you're a Nurgle boy.
I was always more of a Nurgle
Yeah.
boy. Yeah,
Even Khorne would be high.
yeah. It's just like I suppose I it just comes down to what you're stylistically, what sort of thing you're interested in with that stuff.
Maybe that's just because there wasn't that many models for it.
Potentially, yeah. I think for me it was like within Chaos, like what stuff interests me the most out of all that, and I really liked how the Nurgle stuff was all kind of like body horror leaning, like gross stuff. I was like, that's what I want from my Chaos stuff.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like a huge Slanesh person really, or Emperor's Children person. However, when the box got revealed, I do look. I've said before, 9 times out of 10, the new models are cool.
Yeah.
So I do get won over quite easily. Sometimes,
even if you have no interest in the models, you see the models, you're like, oh, they're cool.
You go,
yeah.
Ooh.
And I would say that like this was the first one though since I've been like gaming again.
Pro gamer.
On the pro side.
Everyone knows a pro gamer can't only have one army, right?
Yeah. True.
So I'd been kind of in the back of my mind looking forward and thinking like, oh, I wonder what would be like a cool second army. And then when what was the first? Was it Fulgrim they revealed first?
Yes.
Yeah, on Christmas Day.
When that came out, and I was like, that's cool. I really liked that model. We spoke about it, and I even really liked the helmet that everyone seemed to have a go at me for liking.
Yeah, we had a little clip for that.
Yeah, I know you did. Yeah. Everyone, for some reason,
Just the faces are better. That's all.
yeah. Well,
Just,
as we say,
Anyway.
the helmet needs to be on. So I really like that model, and that was the first inkling of like, could that be the second army next year? Kind of thing. So I was kind of thinking about it anyway, and I was like, oh, let me see how these reveals go, see if they get me.
Because we all knew that they were in the works for release at some point.
They
so
put
we was
them
kind
in
of
the
on tender
roadmap.
hooks, aren't we? Yeah.
They put them in the roadmap, right? So you kind of
Knew
know
they were
like,
coming.
Yeah. And then when the rest of the reveals came, I really like them, like the designs of the models and stuff, and what they've done with it. I do really like all of these models. So it's like I wasn't looking at them sort of being like, oh, they could have done a bit more with that or whatever. So I was really looking forward to doing this and getting my hands on one, seeing how that would go. So ultimately going into this, I was very excited at the prospect of painting, some pink Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
I know that George loves painting pink Chaos Space Marines. He's had fantastic experiences with it
Sounds like you had a
before,
good time.
as we've spoken about. Do you want to brush over your feelings on Emperor's Children and painting Emperor's Children going into this? We have spoken about it a lot before.
I'll do the TLDR.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In fairness, it's not necessarily the Emperor's Children's fault.
It's not their fault.
However, I have a jaded past of the Emperor's Children because I had, for those of you who don't know, I painted Tabletop Tactics Emperor's Children army that we did for Lawrence. It was like a gift. It was a big thing.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago.
There's
now.
a video on their channel where James like delivered it as a surprise. Yeah. I think they might have added stuff to it since.
Yeah.
So like potentially we didn't paint all of it, but that main bit.
You'll see it in that video. Yeah. It was a lot of models. But that was a crazy tight deadline. I had a lot of problems with the project, and I got COVID like halfway through.
It was like bang in the middle of COVID.
It was, and I just had the worst time painting it.
Yeah.
because I had loads of problems with the paint that I was doing because I was trying to match like an old recipe and like trying to make the colours look the same.
What it was we had photos of Lawrence's old Emperor's Children army. And we were trying to, I don't know why he didn't have it anymore, but I can't remember.
I think he might have sold them.
He might have sold it, and potentially James had caught wind that he may have regretted selling it, and he really enjoyed that army. So we thought, oh, let's try and surprise him with a full version of it. And so we basically had like 2 photos of this old 2 screenshot kind of things of this old Emperor's Children army, and we gave that to George and said,
get on with it.
paint that.
Yeah. Which would have been fine, but it was just the time pressure was really high because James had like planned to go there and deliver this army before the army had even been painted. So like the deadline was like locked in.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I was like already having problems with the paints and stuff. It was already cutting it fine anyway. And then like 2.5 weeks in, I got COVID and it absolutely floored me. But I was like, but we've got a deadline. So I'm like sat there like plugging my nose up with tissues, like through one eye, like sneezing, trying to paint this army. It was a nightmare, but got it done.
Yeah. So is that your only experience painting Emperor's Children?
Until now.
Okay. So that did fully put you off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's a shame, isn't it? Yeah. Oh,
Well, to be fair though, once you've painted that many models of anything,
yeah, you need a break.
it puts
from
you off for a bit, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Other than that, then, for like, as far as like Emperor's Children in terms of whether they interest you or not, where were you at? Other than that, push that experience aside.
I think I'm like newer into the hobby than you guys. They haven't had a range since. They had like the old models, which were like well out of production before I even started. So I'd always looked at it just like an old faction.
Yeah.
And then I know obviously you can just like paint the new stuff pink or whatever, but it wasn't really for me. And then the army that we done was all like converted retro stuff, which isn't really my vibe personally, just being honest. But I was pleasantly surprised actually when I saw one of the models. I thought that was really, really cool. I wasn't expecting to be like, I'd heard the rumblings and stuff and GW put it on the roadmap. And I was not particularly excited, being honest. I was like, oh yeah, that'd be cool, whatever. But until we saw the models, and I think the models are absolutely fantastic. But like most of them I really do gel with, especially like the infantry, like the infractors and the tormentors and the characters and stuff. They look really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm still getting to grips with the names. What were the ones that we did?
I think that's an infractor.
The like combat one.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. It's just they're effectively the same models. It's just like the melee version.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there are another army as well, I would say. This is going to sound like a broad thing that would apply to every army, but I would say they're one of those armies where the people that love them are like
ravenous.
Yeah, they're like all in on them. Like they love them. So this was a release that was like, you got to get this right.
Yeah.
because they will let you know because they absolutely love this army. I just think I couldn't, off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure if I could like list them, but there are just certain armies that like that on there.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe like the fan base is a bit more invested.
Blood Angels.
Blood Angels. So yeah, Blood Angels is one.
Like the new Eldar miniatures as well that came out. Let's get those right, really, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Eldar.
I think they've got more of a niche.
Yeah, maybe
base.
there's just not as many people in the way that I'm thinking about. Blood Angels is a good example.
Do you know what I think part of it is because they have like the old models as well. You've got a lot of the older fans like
got
getting
old
back
heads,
into it.
yeah.
So
And they've got some expectations.
well, they've got the nostalgia and everything, haven't they, weighing on it? So.
Yeah, but you've also got people that have been like James, for example, if we're talking about Blood Angels, like some of these new Blood Angels releases, he's been waiting for 20 years to see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so you got that pressure. And it's a similar thing with the Slanesh stuff. So let's get into what we actually did then. Just as a quick overview, us three all took a model away. One of the infractors, I think.
Yeah,
one of the combat ones. And yeah, we all just wanted to paint something. We had slightly different. The only brief I guess we had was to do it slightly different from each other. We didn't want to completely match what we were doing, but
I actually haven't seen what either of you have painted yet.
Yeah, it wasn't like, let's do custom chapters or whatever.
No.
Although we
it
did
was
that
still
in
within the
one
pink
case
and-
because outside of us three, we also had Adam paint the character in a custom chapter, which we'll talk about a little bit as well.
Well, I can see George's painted model on the table.
Yeah,
looking
that doesn't
perfect.
mean that's not a sign that me and you didn't do anything, by the way. So we'll get to that. But however, in our defence, George's painting of this model was a little bit more planned than ours, I guess, and I'll let you go into that in a sec. But do you want to just give a little oversight then on what? Do you want to just say why you were doing this model?
Yeah, can we talk? We can talk about it now, right?
Hints.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
So,
For the podcast listeners, we could let a little bit slip,
Okay.
I think. James ain't here, so
Yeah, he's not here, is he?
no rules. Lots of you have asked if on Patreon, as well as the PDF tutorials, if we will be doing video tutorials at any point. So, we filmed a video tutorial.
yeah. And George has painted this model, and we'll leave that there. Look,
Yeah.
you draw those conclusions for now, but keep an
posting.
eye out or an ear out, and that'll be kind of
We'll have
I
more
might have to
details
watch
soon
it.
on that.
yeah, that'll be elaborated on very soon.
I might
think.
have to watch it.
But in with that in mind, obviously, your painting of this model was a bit more officially worked into your working week,
Yeah.
Yeah.
shall we say? So, what was the thought process in terms of what you wanted to do? You've clearly just gone for the box art.
Well, that was kind of it.
Colour,
It was,
right?
I wanted, I like to paint the box art style anyway,
Mm.
but that was kind of a challenge in of itself for this because it's kind of a new, with a lot of the heavy metal recipes, you can kind of find like sources online, official or otherwise, and kind of like reverse engineer the colors a little bit and kind of, and once you've replicated something before, you can kind of do it again because even if it's on a different model, you can go, oh, well, I've painted black that looks like that before, I'll use that recipe and so on. But it's a bit of a curveball with this because it's kind of all new colors.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that because one of the things that was kind of that we were kind of going back and forth on actually before the reveal, because they revealed obviously Fulgrim, but that didn't really tell you what direction they were going to go with. What's the armor going to be? What's the box art armor?
Well, I'd said to
gonna
you,
be?
there is, before this release, like when we saw the photos and everything, I said to you, there's kind of no current heavy metal scheme for Emperor's Children because they'd done some that were like the sort of fleshy, orangey, pink, like armor panels. Then they'd had Fabius Bile, which has got purple armor.
Because he's got his heresy armor.
Yeah.
So
And then there's the
Didn't really give
30K
anything
stuff
away.
as well. And
Yeah.
then they've released Fulgrim, and that didn't really help, to be
yeah,
honest.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we were kind of discussing on what way, number one, what way we wanted it to go, and number two, what way we thought it would go.
Yeah.
And you kind of thought they were going to go for the flesh thing.
Yeah, I did think that. Only because there was kind of precedent for that, because the most recent kind of rendition of it was that.
Yeah.
But they went like full super bright pink. So
They still didn't go the way that I thought they were going to go, though, which was all bright pink.
yeah.
I didn't think they were going to do the mixed
split.
panels.
In retrospect, though, the Emperor's Children army that I painted a few years ago has aged great.
yeah.
Because it looks exactly the same.
Yeah. So yeah, they went for this kind of like silver trim. Some panels are black, some panels are bright pink.
There's a lot of like really pale, desaturated flesh.
Yeah.
Sort of stretched across
Yeah.
some of them as well.
So like you say, there wasn't really a precedent for it on the heavy metal stuff or on the web store at the minute to like flick through.
Exactly.
So not much discussion about how to paint it online.
Well, and I don't know about you, but I've not done a lot of bright pink in my painting either. So
No, definitely not.
Totally new.
And it's even the type of bright pink that it isn't similar to much of what we've seen before. I don't think
Not
on
really.
other stuff.
Seems very specific, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Well, that was the challenge with this project in and of itself. Was I sort of knew that I could fairly confidently work out kind of the black and then a bit of playing around.
Yeah.
We'll get the flesh done. But the pink was what I was most concerned with going in.
yeah,
And it took a little bit of experimentation to try and get it as close as I thought. I mean, I thought I got fairly close in the end, being
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's not an exact match, obviously. It never is. But I was pretty happy with how close I was able to get it, considering that I was just kind of going in blind.
Winging it. Yeah.
Mm.
And
No, it's
there was
great.
a lot of kind of adjustment on the fly.
Mm.
And with sort of doing eventually we'll see in the video, but with the sort of glazing methods that I used, there was a little bit of back and forth of like, it went too dark pink, and I kind of had to go back in with some of the brighter pink and bring the overall colour back out. But
Yeah.
So, had you not been following the box art, was there anything that you would rather have done? Is there any way that you look at one of these infantry models and go, "Oh, I would probably put that there," or maybe if it was my own army, I would change this? Or
well, I think, well, to be fair, I mean, obviously there is the box art recipe to follow, but even if you look amongst the infantry models, it does seem like they're kind of at random picked out all the different panels and stuff. So I think even if you were replicating it, you're still going to have a lot of variation, which I think works really well for models like this, because say you've got a 10-man sprue, eventually you're going to have like duplicates, right, in an army. But where you've got like split armor schemes like this, it's really easy to make.
You can like split the armor in different ways.
Yeah.
And then the models, you could have two models that are exactly the same pose, same loadout, and they can look different.
They just look really
especially
different.
at arm's reach on a table. So I think that's quite a good benefit of doing a split scheme. That being said, it's very slow. So
So
I would say if you are going to go that route, watch out, because just painting, same with like Space Marines, like any split scheme where you've just got like multiple recipes to kind of get through is never going to be as efficient, because it's not like you can just spray paint the whole model one color and then go in and start highlighting and doing all of that. You've got to go in and base coat individual areas, then you've got to clean it up, and
you've got two sets of armor basically to kind of two different colors.
And even though it's not like a whole marine all in pink, it's slowing you down a lot, that back and forth.
Do you
that
think
makes sense?
It would have been slower to do the entire marine in the pink, given the problems that you had in pink? So would you maybe suggest that people...
Oh, the black was a saviour. I was worried going in. I was
so happy just to do black.
I was like, thank God the whole model's not pink. You know?
I do think
it would look good.
A model fully in that pink would look great.
Here's the issue with the pink, all right?
Be careful.
Especially when you've got, just in general, any bright colour with black, like you're opposite ends of the light spectrum, right? So coverage is a real problem. And this is the issue that I had with doing the Tabletop Tactics army was, and even with that one, it was more of like a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
And I'd tried to like min-max the system and was like, okay, will it be quicker to base coat the whole lot pink and then block in the black? Because even if there's more black on it, black covers better. Or would it be quicker to base coat the whole thing black and then go in and block in the pink?
I would probably do the first one.
I timed both.
To stop myself going crazy.
On the TT army, I timed both and there was like basically nothing in it. So I ended up just airbrushing the pink. But this time around, I did... It came running back to me why I had such problems with that army. The issue with pink is it's just so bright. I haven't found many paints that cover particularly well, kind of over, and even if you undercoat it. So like with my process for this was to block in those armor panels light grey first, because light grey covers fairly quick over black, and that's going to save me a lot of time.
Pink's going to be easier over light grey.
Exactly. But even still, it took like probably like 6, maybe 7 coats to get like a nice solid pink on there.
Blimey.
I think that does show though, like sometimes that is just what needs to happen.
It just is what it is sometimes.
The
Yeah,
two
there's no
thin
getting around
coats thing is a nice catchphrase and everything,
Yeah.
but it's very
like 12
rarely the
thin
truth,
coats.
is it? Like,
Yeah. And it's one of those things where sometimes you just can't game the system, and you've got to just.
it's just how it's done.
If you sometimes fighting a paint is just going to make it worse. Like, it's slow and annoying to spend 35 minutes base coating a bit of leg, but I promise you that's a better trade than like trying to rush it and then ruining the paint and then having the paint dry and getting your hairdryer out and then getting this chalky mess that you've then got to like ultimately strip or something.
I mean, it'd be easier to start the other way around instead of undercoating black, just to undercoat it maybe pink and then paint the black.
I don't disagree that that's a valid way to go, but with a split like I did on this model specifically, where there's such a small amount of pink on it, it would have taken longer to go in and base coat all of that black. And as well, because you're doing it by brush, you've then introducing like more brush texture on more surface area of the model. So say there was going to be a visible brush stroke, I would want it to be on the pink, because the pink is only a tiny bit of leg.
Rather than the black.
Whereas if there was going to be a visible brush strokes on the black, that's like 85% of the model.
Yeah.
So that was the trade that I made. But equally, you could have like just sprayed the whole thing pink and then gone in, blocked it in black. But it's not like it's going to cover in one coat either, is it? With black, it's still going to take like 2.
Just in my mind, it's always like, the the black is going to go over easier because,
Yeah, but then you've got to be careful as well because then you don't want to get any black on the pink that you've sprayed on.
because then you've got to try and
So you
cover
still
the
got to be
splodges.
careful
Yeah.
and still got to be slow.
Oh, I'll get to that.
Yeah. You've got to be like a madman. Yeah.
Do you want to learn how to become a better miniature painter, improve your skills, and have the best looking army on the tabletop? Well, now you can with the Siege Studios Patreon. You'll gain instant access to our catalogue of over 350 easy to follow step-by-step tutorials covering a huge variety of colour schemes, painting styles, and techniques, with everything from beginner-focused foundation tutorials to full character masterclasses. Plus, with the team adding new lessons every single week, you'll never run out of techniques to learn or skills to improve. And if that's not enough, you also get access to our critique clinic, where you can get video feedback from us on your miniatures with advice on how to progress your painting so you'll always know what to work on next and see improvements as fast as possible. So if you're ready to take the next steps in miniature painting, head to patreon.com/Siege Studios or check the link in this episode's description.
No, yeah, I agree. Pink is a nightmare. It is definitely my I can't turn left at the end of a catwalk moment. I think this is for painting mine. I had a nightmare painting it. Yeah, I've got it. I brought it in.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Because we've heard of this, but
Yeah.
I haven't.
Obviously, I think George had bunged some pictures up, some hideous close-ups.
Can we have a look now? I haven't actually seen it.
So I had a real nightmare with this.
I'm instantly confused.
For the audio
terrible.
listeners, I'm currently looking at a primed model with some pink on it.
Yeah, that's now. Listen, right.
It's the first time I'm seeing one of these holders in person.
Have you not
as
used
Is it
them?
well.
really?
I've got one of them. You not got one of them?
No, they're quite good.
That's a £5 purchase waiting to happen, Joe.
Oh,
I do
God.
enjoy.
Oh no.
I do enjoy them. They're quite nice. Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen these in person before.
How have you never seen them?
They're feels quite nice around the hand. Very good.
Joe,
How much are they?
I don't know. I can't. remember.
$4.99.
Probably
I don't know how much
Yeah.
they are, but
£5 1p.
you do Warhammer professionally.
Yeah, you're not seen as.
I've not
GW
seen one of the actual hat.
How?
I'm a shot glass boy. They're only £1.
You get 20 in a pack.
Get quite a few of them. They're quite good though. These.
Oh, £8.
Oh, a bit out of
Oh.
your budget, aren't they?
I'll have to consider it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've got a bigger
sorry
one
to
too.
distract. I was just.
Yeah. Anyway, so obviously I undercoated them. I had this. My idea was, because obviously we all had a marine each, and we all weren't just going to do pink armor. We was going to try and do something a bit different with the pink panels. So I had this wonderful idea of trying to, instead of just painting the panels block pink, was to do like a checkered pattern. I started out doing that, and it was a mess.
There is no checker pattern on the model I'm looking
there's
at.
none. It was a hideous mess. Like on the leg panel.
Have you done freehand checker pattern
Yeah,
stuff before?
of
and you're
course.
quite
Yeah,
comfortable with it?
but mostly it's on nice square flat panels, right?
Right.
So it's nice and easy.
Yeah,
There's no nice square flat panels on there. They're all bendy and long and cylindrical and stuff.
they're all curved.
Yeah. So the main issue I had was, especially on the leg, there's quite a lot of trim and ornament, sort of ornament. I can't remember think of the word. Is it ornamentation? I don't know, ornament type things.
Ornamentation.
Yeah, that'll do, won't it?
Insignia.
Yeah,
There's some
there's some-
insignia
there's-
on there, I would say.
But
Regalia.
Yeah.
Any more synonyms?
chintz, bits and bobs, trinkets,
Stuff.
just stuff on the legs there. So I just thought, once I'd painted on the checkers, it just looked a mess because all of the insignia was sort of cutting through it, and you couldn't really make out the checker pattern anyway, which just made it worse. I thought,
Too busy.
It was way too busy. So I thought, well, maybe if I paint the trim, maybe that'll help. It didn't. It just made it look worse. So I thought, in the end, I
Made
just
it look busier.
it
Different
just made
colour
it
on the
look
trim.
worse. And then the pink wasn't going on right, and painting block panels in the pink is one thing. Trying to paint little tiny squares so they cover well is something
Be precise.
It's something else in complete. And it just looked. It just looked a mess. I was sitting there. I was crying. I was tense. It was a horrible thing. So in the end, I just thought. So I just painted over every pink panel like a lilac color, and then just went over everything again with the pink. And even then, I did 4 coats of the pink, and I've always been taught thin your paints, so I'm thinning my paints, And they're not covering anyway, because even straight out the pot, if you scrape the bottom of that pot and got the thick goop, it wouldn't cover.
You end up like glazing your base coat on.
That's what it feels like. And so it just looked, I was getting frustrated with it because it was just looking a washy, streaky mess. And I thought, I can't keep putting more layers on because I'm just going to make, you're going to put like brush strokes in it and it's just going to dry in it and you're going to see them.
Do you ever think that when you're starting to mess something up, you're like, no, I know the solution. Paint it harder.
Yeah.
I will fix this.
I know. I know the answer to this. I'll add more paint to it. That'll work.
No, the solution is keep doing what I'm doing that I'm not happy with now.
If I keep doing it but more frustrated and more aggressively, that will fix
anger,
it.
More tears.
Sort of, and I just start thinking about other things while I'm doing it so I don't concentrate on it. Then it will look brilliant.
So it's always worked for me.
Yeah.
I just had to, I put it down in the end. I left it for like 2 or 3 days. I thought I'm not going to paint it because I'm just going to make it worse. And then I went back to it. And then I decided, well, I can't really, the pink isn't working for me. And then someone suggested to me, well, paint it really bright, higher than you want it, and then work it backwards with, shading and stuff like that. So I thought, that'd be a great idea. So what I did was I got the brightest flesh color that I own, painted every panel with that, and then put a pink wash, like some pink sort of glazing over it. No, it's just, and I'm like, oh, God. So that's where I've got. That's how far I am at the minute.
I mean, the thing is, if you just like showed this model
from a distance, it looks but it looks all right.
I would have just said, oh, okay, so he wanted to do like his version of the pink and black split armor, and he's started painting the pink, and then he's got the rest of the model. Like, I wouldn't have guessed there was like this whole backstory about how much he hated it.
My God, there's a whole thing.
You've just ended up with a pale pink and some black, and it's you could build on that for the rest of the model.
I know, but I could do.
Obviously not if you didn't enjoy painting it, then don't paint it.
I mean, for me now is like, I'm so sort of cross, even like to the level I'm cross with the color of that, because I know I can do better, right?
You're being gaslit by the paint.
Yeah,
I know, right? And the paint is just like, no, not this week, you ain't.
Shouldn't that help how you feel about it? Because you can do better. So this isn't like you trying your best and not being able to do something. You've come up with these other obstacles of coming. Because I think the problem I have is where I don't paint that much. If I run into problems like this, I actually have a thing of like, I don't know if I can do better because I haven't painted anything in a while. Is this just where I'm at, kind of thing? Whereas you paint fairly regularly, and you know that the things you're comfortable with, you can paint really well. So it's like I would look at it more as like okay, this is what it is. It was a new challenge, and it then becomes like a problem solving
issue.
And activity almost. Do you know what I mean? Like, what can I do now?
Yeah.
What can I do now? Sort of thing.
So I need to find my, because I was just sitting there thinking, all I could think of was Zoolander and his inability to turn left at the end of the catwalk and how we overcome that. And I was just thinking, this is my Zoolander moment. I need to find my was it Magnum or whatever it is? Turn left. I need to do something. So I will finish it, and I will continue with the pink, but I think I need to not be too disappointed with it and just get it
just
finished.
Take it for what it is.
Yeah, just get it finished. I think it's like you say, it's a totally new paint color that I'm using. I've got like 4 pink paints that I've never used.
I do think it is one of those things though where you just have to be unreasonably patient and just build it up slow.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be like that for a lot of people that buy this box though.
Yeah,
because I think this type of pink is a pretty rare occurrence in a lot of other Warhammer models like we've just spoken about.
Yeah,
so I think a lot of people are about to have potentially
an aneurysm.
Potentially that thought process.
And sorry to interrupt you there, but I would for me, I would just think, if I'm going to do this, I would rather get a nice bright pink spray can, spray everything pink, and then be more careful with the black.
That's not a bad idea. Option number 2 would also be if you've got an airbrush.
Yeah.
Get the same paint.
Yeah.
Airbrush the base color on with that paint so that you can tidy it up like with a 1-for-1
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
color.
Yeah.
Because part of the issue with spray cans is you don't always necessarily get the color exactly the same.
Yeah.
You can't hide your mistakes very well. We'll get to
Yeah,
that.
that is
Yeah.
part of the
If,
problem. with
if
spray
you're
cans.
really,
For
really
beginners
careful,
like me with just rattle cans, just get a great pink and
But-
just go from there. Yeah.
regardless of that, you're still going to have to
Yeah.
be careful and patient at some point, because when you go
Yeah.
in with the black, if you make a mistake and you get it onto
Yeah.
the pink, you've got,
Yeah, but I
difficult
don't mind
problem.
that because I'll be like, oh, pink's done. Now I can just be all happy and do the black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that probably would be the way to go, especially if you're not willing
Don't
to
do
sit there and
checkers
spend
either
any-
because that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, don't bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah.
That would be good advice.
Other than that, though, how were you particularly excited to paint these models? Do you like
Oh,
look at these
yeah, I
models?
mean, look
and
at
stuff like that? Yeah.
They're fantastic, aren't they? They're
They
really
are
great.
good. They
They're
are
great
good.
models. What I tell you, what I really do love, the color-wise with these models, is like the turquoisey sort of the blues and the greens on there. That's great.
I think the box art, has like the eyes and like maybe some of the tubing in
Yeah,
like a
that's-
more blue tinted turquoise.
sort of
jade
clash it.
colour,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's great colouring. And like the capes and all that, they look great. I love all those colours on there. And the models, I can't remember, like in the Corn Army, you get like the 8-bound. They're slightly bigger.
Yeah, there's like an equivalent.
Are they called sword bearers or something like that? The poses
We
on
don't have
those.
those yet. They're not out yet.
Yeah,
so
but I
know.
mean, I think aren't they not in that box? Are they or not?
No.
So the box is mostly just a lot of infantry
And
and
the-
the one character.
It's
character,
a Lord
yeah.
Exultant, Tormentors, and then you've also got the Infractors, and then the Noise Marines.
Are the
Oh, that's
tormentors and the
right, yes,
infractors
yeah.
the same sprue? And you
Yes.
can just
I
choose the
believe
weapon.
so.
are.
So
They've
you've got
just
the
got-
different options, yeah.
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 What's that one lot have got like bolt guns and the other
Yeah.
has got sword and pistols.
Because I will say, like the design of the armor, and even when it came to painting the armor, is probably my favorite chaos armor that we've had on a model in a very long time. Like this new design, I absolutely love it.
This
They're
one,
like Primaris scale, kind of,
yeah,
but they're
Mark 6
quite
and 7.
skinny
Mm.
Yes,
in a way that Primaris aren't. So they're like the old school, like Chaos Marine armor, but like kind of beefed up.
Bit
Yeah,
taller, yeah.
it's that plus there's not as much trim as a normal Chaos Space Marine.
Yeah.
Or like a
That's
1,000 Sun or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I quite like that because I find that sometimes I find that takes away from the overall design of the models, and I like that they're a bit sporadic.
And plus, beaky helmets. I mean, getting to paint a little beaky helmet.
Yeah, I didn't get a beaky on
little
mine,
Mark
although I
6
quite
helmet.
liked the helmets on the one that I got.
Yeah.
Do you want to, should we go on to mine?
Yeah, go on and
Yeah.
tell us about your disaster.
Yeah.
So mine wasn't a disaster. Paul hasn't seen it actually. I didn't
I
bring it
haven't
in,
seen
but
it.
I got a photo of it. Or where it got to. I had a couple of things. I wouldn't say I had too many issues, to be honest, but I had a couple of things I wanted to do with this model when I got it, and like what my plan was going to be. A few boxes I wanted to tick effectively.
Yours is pink.
Yes,
Yours
that's
is-
one of the boxes I
You got,
wanted to
yours,
tick.
is, yours is hot pink.
Yeah, I wanted
Yeah.
to do an obnoxiously bright. I'm not gonna say like second edition style, like, but like just bright.
For the audio listeners, think of some 1980s leg warmers.
Yeah, I wanted to do something like obnoxiously bright, which is why I also opted for no black panels, just all pink. And I partly did that so I didn't have to do a split color scheme, and also gold trim, like fairly bright gold trim on every bit of trim. I wanted it to be bright, obnoxious.
Yeah.
Take on
Nice smooth coat as well.
Emperor's Children. And I gave myself a weekend to do this, and I gave myself a weekend in which I was also going to a gig and doing photography at the gig and editing some photos from said gig. So I reckon I probably did about like 8 hours or something in total, from like building everything, trip to the shop in that as well.
Good lord. Spend a $5 on something.
Spend a $5. How long did you spend ordering colours online?
I actually did spend about £5 on 2 pots of paint. So basically, and then the other thing I wanted to do was like, look, I did a rattle can for my base coat, straight onto the plastic, we've had a discussion about rattle can coloured primers, blah, blah, blah. Are they primer? Are they not? Whatever. I just wanted, as an experiment, let's see how this goes on. Straight on the plastic. And in doing that, I also knew one of my other aims with this was going to be as tidy as possible, be as refined as possible. I thought that my issue was going to be when it came to recess shading. That is where I'm messiest, personally.
Right.
I get too much on the brush. I can't judge it. And then
Jam it
I
in there.
try and like run it through the recess and it just blobs to somewhere else. That is my issue. So I was going to make a full effort to be tidy with recess shading. Before I managed to get to that, I had quite a few paint slips with black, because what I did was I blacked out every other area that wasn't going to be pink. I blacked that out so that I wasn't painting like gold over pink.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
If I wanted to save time, and in retrospect, given the time constraints I had, I probably should have just painted the gold straight over the pink, done enough coats to make it a full coat and been okay. But I always just go to blacking everything out, just so I've got something neutral to build on. So I did that. So everything that was rattle can pink, everything that then wasn't pink, I painted black. And that is where I had a few slips. And then I realized very quickly that, much like Paul, I have 2 pink paints and neither of them look anything like that spray paint. So the one's like more pale. I think I had like Emperor's Children, which is like more pale. Which you'd think would be, hopefully, like it was supposed to be the one that I would be, this is what I need. But it's not very hot pink, Emperor's Children. I'd really acknowledged it before, but it's quite pale. And then, so I got to this thing of like, I had a few slips and I didn't know what to do. Like I considered just spraying over those areas with the rattle can again and just painting everything else and being clean. And then I was like, I just know that I'm going to slip up again. I'm going to go to all that effort.
This might be a bit rogue. Do you know what I've done once before? I've taken the spray can and I've just sprayed a tiny little bit in the cap.
So I've thought about that.
Good idea.
And I have done that before.
You'll ruin your brush, but
Yeah, I have done that before and I didn't get the result that I was hoping when I did it before.
It's not ideal.
I'm talking years ago and I did ruin the brush. But
if there's a tiny bit of paint to cover up,
you can get away with it.
You can get away with it, or it might at the very least look better than the mistake.
Yeah. So effectively what I had was on the shoulder pad that you can see in the picture, there was some slips along the bottom and across the chest as well, where the trim meets the pink, there was some slips. I ended up heading out to local shop off Odd Outpost, shout out, and just picked up a Screamer pink. I didn't have a Screamer pink. And I thought, that's like a darker, kind of rich, like darker pink, purple type color. And I was like, I should be able to make some kind of mix out of the paints that I have to resemble it in some way.
Get close to it.
Yeah. I put a story out on Instagram as well, and I did get a couple of answers of things that do match it, but I didn't have them, and I needed it like now. So, and I was doing these mixes, and like they just weren't working. I was like re-varnishing it, because I was like, oh, they just not look the same. Because they look the same on the palette, and then when I was applying it, they looked a bit more matte and all that, going back and forth. And I then suddenly remembered, for some reason, I have no idea why, about 4 years ago, I bought like, it might be Vallejo. I can't even remember what brand it is off the top of my head, because they're seemingly useless to me. I've never touched them. It was like a set of like 8 fluorescent paints, and it's like fluorescent blue, fluorescent pink, fluorescent purple, fluorescent orange, red, like the brightest, most obnoxious versions of all of those colors that you can think of. And there's a pink one and there's a purple one, and I just started adding bits of those into the mix that I'd made to try and get it. And I got it like pretty close. Like, I don't think you can tell after it got varnished after.
I couldn't tell from the photo.
Yeah.
I don't think you can tell where those slips are. So I covered it pretty quick. So similar kind of problem solving experience really. And it turned into a bit more, I was focused on that more than anything. However, I think, overall, I was tidy on my recess shades. I didn't run into any trouble with that. I quite like how they came out.
Yeah.
I didn't get round to really highlighting anything. So in the picture, I think I matte varnished it to then go into previous hobby hack from George of highlighting metallics after being matte varnished. So it probably looks a bit flat in the picture because it is fully matte varnished.
I think that would look great as an army, for a tabletop standard.
Yeah, this is the thing. The other, I guess, like final thing, I was like, would I be happy if I had an army or if I had a squad of that on the table? And I'd be like, yeah, I'd be happy with that, just to like chuck them around, throw some dice. So I actually do really like the overall look. I think there's some promise there, and I would paint some more of those, I think, and try and work out some further stages on like actual highlighting and stuff like that. So,
definitely got more done than I did in the same time span.
Yeah, well,
seems like you spent a similar amount of time though.
Yeah. I didn't try and do a checker pattern. I was quite happy with them, and I love the models. I think they're really brilliant.
Yeah.
Like,
nice models.
the helmets are great as well. Like,
I really want to paint the Lord. I didn't get a chance to. Well, we could talk about Adam painting.
Yeah, so we got Adam to paint the Lord, which went up on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, probably. So a lot of people saw it, actually. That posted really well. So a lot of people were loving Adam's take on the Lord. So he had this, as soon as they were like revealed, basically, he came to me with this thing of like, I've got an idea for Emperor's Children that I really want to do. And effectively what he wanted to do was he had this thought of potentially like emoing it up a little bit, full black and white,
floppy fringe,
and initially
it's it's almost like glam metal. It's like
which is, you look at that Noise Marine model that we were just talking about, like that is sort of the design heritage of Emperor's Children. He wanted to make it like bit more emo, bit more kind of glam, like in that way, I guess. So he went full black and white color scheme with some like really kind of rich red like cloak and a few other little bits and like the tassels and things.
Not break it up. Yeah, it's great.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
He
it
even
was
did
really
a
good.
second head for it, didn't he? I think?
He did two heads, because we were umming and ahhing whether to use the actual Emperor's Children helmet, or Adam's other idea was to try and nab some kind of floppy fringe head from
he was desperate, wasn't he?
Space Marine upgrade sprue, which
Yeah.
we were thinking would be the Raven Guard ones, but we didn't have any of those to hand. And I don't know what head he ended up using. There is a picture of it that I don't think went on Instagram.
I did actually, after he'd sort of picked the head.
It might have been a Blood Angel head we ended up using.
I think we did, yeah. But I think so. We did find some heads from like, the mandrakes.
Yeah.
Although they're just kind of the faces, they've got like they're fringe.
They've got like
they've got the full
fringe,
fringe. So maybe someone could obviously sort of kit bash one of those. That'd be great.
He did say as well he wanted to call the war band the Black Parade, which I think is very good. I think that's very fitting. Great model, and like Adam did really well.
Yeah.
So
I might pick one of them up. I think I might actually get one of them just
thing.
to paint. Yeah, because it's too good not to.
Would you want to hold? Oh no, you don't. I was going to say, do you not want to hold out for like Lucius when that comes out eventually? But you don't like named characters, do you?
It's not a named character thing, right? The
Blood
Blood Angels.
I don't like named characters because I love. Do you know my favorite?
That's not even what I said.
Wait, do you know my favorite thing you've ever said on this? Because like when we're doing this, it's our fantasy. Like it's our, you know what I mean? It's our like. It's a whole fantasy thing, right?
Yeah,
so it's like our army that we're creating and and all these battles that they take place, and so much imagination that goes to it. And you said once that you don't want to put like Dante into your army because how likely is it that my Blood Angels would have Dante? And I'm like,
there's like 1,000 of them. I've got like 12. And what, it just so happens that Dante was there that afternoon.
I just love the limitations on your
I'm in the area.
Fantasy and enjoyment. It's like, you're like hammering realism. Not even realism. It's not realism. It's not a realism.
It's just, I'm in the area. I'll pop down.
Yeah,
I'll help you
that's
out.
how it feels when you. Yeah. No, I'm not about that.
I do get the
also,
logic.
I don't see myself as like fortunate enough.
Don't you just
I'm
want
not
to
worthy
paint?
of Dante to be in my army.
Don't you just want to paint a Dante though?
I've painted one.
Right. Okay. So what's with the name character thing then?
I don't want in
No,
my...
he painted one for a commission.
Yeah,
he hasn't painted one for himself.
I'll paint them.
Yeah.
I don't want in my specific personal collection of Blood Angels, I want them all to just be unnamed...
Generic
He just
wants
troops.
Space Marine.
Because I want them to be mine. I want to be my guys. Like, that's my captain.
So you've got no, like, Lamartis
No.
or...
He has got a Lamartis, and he said
It
he's
came in
gonna
the
paint
box.
it,
I might paint it. But like, I like the characters. I'll paint the characters as
Yeah.
like their own little thing. But in terms of like my army...
They're not part of the army.
They're not part of the army.
Right. So you're creating an army now, is that...
Does anyone else do? I need some comments.
Someone
from
else
people.
must
Does
do
anyone
that.
else do it? I understand it.
That's what
to
the
a
army's all
certain
about,
extent.
is the
I
main
do understand
characters.
the logic behind it. Like, not well, no, I don't really, but I understand. I understand.
I'm like, what?
I understand the thought process.
Yeah.
Like, I want them to be mine,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. But like to fully, just, it's the not feeling worthy that they would be part of my.
You just want to
Blood
paint
Angel.
intercessors and stuff all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll do a
that's
captain.
that's like a
No,
joke.
you're missing the point though. I'll do like a captain, but I'll just do a generic one. I won't do like a named one.
I guess the confusion for me comes from most people who feel like that would do their own chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think is probably
Probably.
where that goes. But
Oh, I get it now. So you don't want name characters in your army, but you're too lazy to come up with your own one.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. That's all right. Fair enough. I'm happy with that.
Right, just keep it up.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I was gonna say you could potentially wait
Yeah.
till Lucius because that model looks really cool as well. But
I'm not as fond of the Lucius model.
are you not?
No.
Oh well, there we go. Well, it's because he's got a name.
That's it.
So-
Yeah.
That must
And
be it.
How realistic is it that the Lucius,
Would
the
just turn
Eternal,
up.
would find
Yeah.
himself in George's bedroom?
Yeah.
Like it's just not realistic.
Would you not think that though?
What do you mean?
If like you was there on the battlefield, there's like like you've seen them in the halls, like they're in their regiments,
Yeah, and you just see
thousands
like
of them, and you think you're just
Adam walks
he's
towards
just
you.
right next to you.
You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'd be.
You'd be like,
I think-
whoa.
I think it's like in Avengers Endgame when like they're all just there,
Yeah.
and suddenly they're all looking around at each other and going, "Oh, you're here. Oh, you. Oh, never met you before. Oh, what do you do?" Yeah, maybe. I guess.
Even
But the
worse.
beauty of
Even
it-
worse in like 30k because there's just thousands of them.
Yeah.
Like that I definitely couldn't do. The goal to have a 30k like Age of Darkness army and you've got like 200 models on your table and you've got a Primarch. Who do you think you are?
Okay.
The arrogance
Yeah, but
to
the
think
beauty
that
of it
the
is-
arrogance to think that like the lion is just like palling along in your little squad. What are you talking about?
What
There's
do
like
you-
100,000 of them.
So what?
Yeah.
What do you think the chances are? Like, give me a percentage of how likely it is that, for example, Dante would happen to be leading your personal Blood Angels. What is the percentage?
Well, mathematically, it'd be 1 in 1,000, wouldn't it?
Okay, but the beauty of it being a fantasy is that you get to choose that this very moment is that 1 in 1,000.
I cannot suspend my disbelief enough. I know I'm lying to myself.
It's bonkers. It is absolutely bonkers. It's one of the most bonkers things we've had said on this podcast, and we've had James recommended mini fridges and God knows what.
Power tools for all
Put
sorts of things.
your wet pallet in a mini fridge and power tools for this and fish
is
bowls
pretty
for that.
crazy.
And that is still up there as one of the most bonkers things on this podcast.
Maybe
isn't it?
that objective in that particular battle that you're fighting is the one that Lion goes, actually, I need to be there for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but this is the thing.
Stop kidding yourself.
George is fairly confidently placed himself in. No, we're doing. My army does all the little grunt work, like the little battles that no one wants to do.
Another way to look at this is on Star Trek. Who's on the away team all the time? The captain.
True.
Well, luckily for me, I'm not painting Star Trek.
But he
models.
has a captain. It's just
Yeah, but
George's captain.
but the captain,
Yeah.
like Picard, he's a named character, right? So, and he goes on every away team.
Oh,
He's
true.
doing all the stuff
True.
with Chewbacca or whoever else is there. All right? They're all on the away team. All named characters. You get two intercessors, which obviously are going to get popped off in that particular episode, right? But Picard's always down there
Yeah.
in the village with the locals, robbing their resources or whatever he's doing that particular day. He's not sending Riker. Riker goes every now and again, right? He's the other guy. But most of the time, Picard is there. And the other characters who are, I don't know whom. But
How many episodes of Star Trek have you ever watched?
More than you might guess, actually.
I was
watched
gonna
quite
say
a bit
zero.
No, I've watched quite a bit of Next Generation.
Oh, but not Deep Space Nine. We don't
No,
watch that.
yeah,
no.
Oh, fair enough.
I didn't watch
So
that.
you were following with that then?
You know what? I got the nuts and bolts of that. I got the gist.
I don't know if my Chewbacca was there.
Yeah.
But you get the
He
idea.
lost me at Chewbacca, I'll be honest. But
Get the idea. Named characters doing the tasks.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, outside of those limitations, within those limitations, I guess, you do end up with just currently the captain or the warlord, or what's it called? Just a lord.
Exultant, I
Just a
think.
lord
Lord Exultant.
from the box.
Yeah, Chaos.
And it is
Lord.
very cool. It is very
It is
cool.
a very cool.
So
model, yeah. He's got
if
his
you
big
are
cape,
gonna,
and he.
yeah,
He's cooler than Lucius.
I don't know about that. Lucius is a very good model.
Good grief.
But would you ever tackle Fulgrim, do you reckon?
No.
You don't fancy it? Just because of the task, or not a fan of the model?
Is it a skill issue?
Massive.
Or?
I'm not doing that.
Oh, you really don't want to. You painted Gansgal Thraka, who's huge.
Compared to Fulgrim.
Not as big as Fulgrim.
Yeah, but he's not as tall, but Gansgal's wide and round. He's like,
yeah.
Gaskel's on
Fulgrim-
like a 60 mil base.
Yeah.
but when you think about it, if you
80, I
if
don't
you
know what
just
it's
grabbed hold of Gansgal's head and just stretched it straight upwards, it would still be bigger than Fulgrim is, because he's really slim and he's just got his arms out.
I've never done a big demon Primarch.
Have you not?
No. Actually, I take it back. The only Primarch I've ever painted is Gilliman.
Yeah.
That's not true. I've done a Baden.
Good
It's not
lord.
Primarch, really.
Yeah.
He's the size, isn't he? Though? I've never
Yeah,
done the demons.
same
I've never
size as
done the
Gilliman.
demon ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose you did I remember you did an Avatar, or you've done a couple of Avatars.
Avatar is probably the biggest model I've done.
Quite big, yeah. But yeah, well, I mean,
Expect more from you, George.
bit of a tangent there,
Yeah.
but overall, I think we're all quite on
Quite
board.
chuffed with these, aren't we?
Quite
Yeah.
on board with the Emperor's
The
Children.
artwork
stuff.
in it is great as well, as usual. The book is.
Oh, it is good. The
codex
artwork
thing
is great. Are you
fantastic in it.
gonna do an army then?
I mean, I've got to get this other one out of the way first. But
Don't worry about that.
I would,
Don't worry about that.
Ditch that one.
That's
I
never
would-
stopped you before.
Start again.
Hang on, where's these rules coming from? When has that ever stopped you?
I'll
When has
tell-
that ever stopped you?
I'll tell you where I'm at with it. Still, back of my mind, second army at some
What if we
point.
sell you that for a fiver?
Back of my
I've got a
mind.
few models missing.
Back of my mind, second army will, I'll keep making that decision while I'm working on the current army. I think on the roadmap they did say there's Death Guard coming, right?
Well, there's some new models coming.
Well, they showed off that one dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
All
think
the
on the
boxes.
roadmap, unless I'm getting confused, I think on the roadmap they did say that Death Guard is coming along with World Eaters and stuff soon. So
That time.
I don't know if it's specifically World Eaters or if it's.
Death Guard got models.
Hey! Don't you dare.
Death Guard only got. I
They
mean,
got a whole range refresh in Dark Imperium.
yeah. How long ago was that?
Yeah. How long ago was
Before-
that, George?
You.
That's
That
not
was before you existed.
Okay, well, it was slightly before me, but
Before you were painting. Like
Oh.
that is a while ago.
that was my start.
that was the launch of Intercessors.
yeah, that was my start.
That was the launch of Primal. So you are going back a few years now. I'm not expecting a full range refresh or anything, and I'm more just thinking. I do love Death Guard, so I'm going to see how that goes first, and then decide which one.
Well, as soon as the Lord of Poxes comes out, I'll be snatching one of those right up.
Yeah, I think a few months down the line, once we potentially do have Death Guard.
Yeah, they're on it.
Yeah. So once we potentially do have some Death Guard stuff and Codex is out, whatever.
All of Chaos is on it. World Eaters, Death
Yeah.
Guard, and Thousand Suns.
Yeah. Then I will have a better idea as to whether I lean more, or which one out of all of them really I lean towards.
Yeah.
I want to do a Chaos army as my second army. I just don't know which flavor.
I think,
Probably Death
of
Guard.
course, yeah. Why would you pick any of the others?
But I do love these Emperor's Children models. Really.
yeah,
enjoy
the
painting
plague
them.
haulers need a rehauling. Is that
Yeah.
the word?
Overhaul?
Overhaul.
Yeah.
Yes.
A
That needs a new
rehaul.
rehaul. That needs a new model, doesn't it? Really, we need a new plague hauler, and Black Drones are great. Death Guard are awesome, just as they are. But it'd be nice to get some new models.
This was the trick, really. We did an Emperor's Children episode to get all the Emperor's Children people in, and then me and Paul just wanted to talk about how much we love Death Guard.
We'll convert you all to Death Guard.
Yeah.
They're so good. Oh, God, they're so good. I'm so excited for Death Guard. Oh.
Do you want to get even more from these podcast episodes? Patreon is the place to get exclusive Paint Perspective content every single week, including extended versions of the podcast featuring bonus segments you won't see anywhere else. Plus, as a member, you'll get exclusive Discord access, including monthly hobby hangouts with us, opportunities to ask your questions on upcoming shows, plus all of our podcast content completely ad-free. To learn more, head to the link in this episode's description or go to patreon.com/Siege Studios. Okay, our final segment of the show is, of course, Hobby Hacks. This is where I share a little quick tip with you. Could be like a product recommendation or a technique or anything like that.
Something to spend £5 on.
Or something to spend £5 on. It's been a while since we've done a product recommendation.
Yeah.
Normally it's some sort of weird contraption that James has come up with.
Yeah. That you found in B&Q or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got one.
Mhm.
Right. You may or may not already use at some point in the hobby cotton buds or Q-tips for those across the pond.
Yeah. I can't say I use them in the hobby currently.
No? Okay. Well, I like to use them for like transfers and things like that because they're quite good for like
yes.
squeezing out like air bubbles. They're also quite good. You get your microsole and put it on there. You can kind of just sort of like.
There's not like little bits of like
Cottony.
fibre stick to it.
Literally never. That's
Okay.
literally never happened to me ever.
Okay. Here's where I try it. Cut to me trying it.
Yeah.
Little cotton fibres over everything.
Pull the cotton bud away, the cotton blob stuck there and it's just got a stick.
But outside of that, I've not really found much use for them, which is weird because you'd think that they would be more useful than that. But I've not really found much else for them. Then I was just perusing online, as you do.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking, amongst stuff.
Hmm.
And as you may have known, I've been getting into some like the scale modeling sort of stuff. So I've been like looking around on like scale model shops for just like some maybe slightly more obscure products. You said this, like when you go in like a model train shop and you find all little trinkets and bits and bobs. I found, right, Tamiya
Oh, he's got on with them.
do these little cotton buds, but they're like precision. They're like really tiny,
They're pointy.
precise, pointy, sharp cotton buds.
Get off the bus.
How
Look
much
at
are they?
£2.50.
Oh, you get 2 packs.
Reasonably priced. I thought there'd be a big hobby tax on them. Not too bad, I
There's
didn't
quite
think.
a few in there.
You get 50 in there. And they're really dense. So unlike like a normal cotton bud, which is quite like soft and squishy,
Yeah.
these are like quite hard. So I found they're quite good for like little sculpting bits or for just getting into like little
I suppose these are
crevices.
specifically made for modeling rather than
exactly.
jamming into your ears.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes.
That was going to be one of my other questions. Have you tried them in your ears?
I've not tried them in my ears. You're
Precision
not meant to do that.
wax extraction.
You're not actually meant to do that with the proper ones.
No.
What is the big benefit of this over like cocktail stick or something? Because that is so firm and sharp.
My favorite use for them is still for transfers. So because they're absorbent, obviously,
that holds
you can
some
dip them
fluid.
in like microcell
Yeah.
or microsol,
Right, okay.
and you can use them to smooth out the transfers
Yeah.
and like brush out air bubbles. Because
Yeah.
unlike using it with a brush is like not firm enough because you can't actually like apply any pressure. But these are still soft enough that you're not going to like, if you're using a cocktail stick, you just rip it, right?
Yeah.
So I found them really good for that. But because they're nice and sharp and quite precise, you can, even for little things like, if you've just got some like dust in like a recess or something, you want to just sort of like fish it out almost, that's quite good for that. Just odd little things. Sculpting, you could just like smooth out some of your green stuff. So you're doing some like undersuit ribbing for like a conversion or something.
Yeah.
That'd be quite good for like smoothing it out. Little things like that. Just a random little tool I found.
They're
quite good.
Might put a little order in.
Yeah.
Almost
When I'm replacing the paints that I bought earlier.
So they're made for the purpose.
They're not groundbreaking, but I thought, what, I've been using normal cotton buds all my
I've
life,
never
and these are
seen
way
these.
better.
And here's the
I've never seen
community
them.
in the comments that'll be like, you're just so late to the game, boys.
Yeah.
I also thought if you was going to do oils and you're just doing like cleanup with them,
Could work with that.
that'd
they
quite
would be
good,
better
yeah.
than using the normal cotton bud because they can actually get into the into the crevices
Into your crevices, yeah.
I'm sold. I'll take 5
yeah.
packs.
because they're under a £5, so you can get as many as you want.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
Because the individual unit is less than a £5. I can buy as many
20
as I like
packs.
and
Yeah.
I feel fine about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
By 10 packs, drop 50 quid, and it's like it never happened.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's only £5.
The 10 packs is only £25. The £2.50.
Sure, I'm not great at maths.
Yeah. But sure, I'll get 20 packs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
Why
Nice.
not? Cotton buds for days.
Yeah, interesting. I've never seen them mentioned. I know it's just like a product recommendation, but I haven't seen those come up in Warhammer conversation.
I've not seen
before.
them mentioned before. I'm sure someone's using them, but
Yeah.
I'm
They-
sure
they were
we'll
new to
find
me.
out in the comments over who's using them. And
yeah.
you guys.
The
are-
two things we're going to always find out in the comments when we recommend a product is who's been using them for 15 years and they're glad we caught up. And who's using a cheaper version that you can just get somewhere else.
Yeah.
And stop wasting your money on the one that we've
50p,
recommended.
yeah.
They're the two things we're always going to find out in the comments.
No one ever goes, oh, that's a good recommendation.
Yeah,
cheers for that.
Apart from me.
I will say, if you comment in at all, then we love you. It's fine.
There'll be someone in the comments going, £2.50.
Yeah.
Just go to the pound shop, mate. Get 200 for 50 pence.
What if you just shaved down normal ones?
I don't.
How would
They're
that
not dense
work?
enough, are they?
How
They're
would that
just too
work?
soft. You just shave the whole blob off.
No,
wouldn't
you could just
fall
shave
off?
it down.
No.
Nah.
I thought if I just said it again, that would explain how it would work.
Tonight, when I get home from work, be in the bathroom with.
I'm
the
just trying
Q-tip,
to. Yeah, I'm trying to think of cost cutting. Just because someone's going to.
Well, I mean, in all fairness,
hobby
that's going to
tax,
last
whatever.
a long time, isn't that pack of 50 there? Surely.
Yeah, don't give me that many. You can also like,
Yeah, I mean, how long have you had them? There's a hefty lot left in there.
I've had them for like a month, probably.
Yeah, it's almost a full
month?
pack. That.
Yeah.
And you'll get through something, chuck it away, go on to the next one.
Oh,
quite
yeah,
quick.
yeah.
My scalpel blades are a testament to that.
Yeah. So
you
feel like
this is like shaved off a sprue nub. That's going in the bin.
yeah, I think a normal hobbyist will get double as much time
Yeah.
out of this than you
yeah.
potentially. So
You're
that's
like,
even better.
remove one speck of dust, put that in the bin.
Yeah. Oh, it's dusty
Yeah.
now. Get rid
Put
of
that
it.
in the bin. What better than buy another whole pack?
No, we learned this. I'm the only one who reuses the latex gloves.
True.
Yeah.
I've started doing
that's
that now, though.
but
So
that's a
then-
hygiene thing.
Yeah.
No one else reuses those bad boys after you've been sweating in them for 4 hours.
The sweat's quite helpful. It helps you get them off easier.
Oh God! Right, move on.
Good grief. Do you turn them inside out to air them out
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah,
and then
Yeah.
put them on the inside out?
Yeah,
I suppose
so
that's a double use.
I get the powder-free ones. So once the outside's like got paint and that on it, I'll just flip it inside out.
Yeah, double use, I suppose. You just keep turning it inside out until your fingers go through it.
I feel like hobby hacks section is just like slowly a descent into madness now.
Well, that's fitting for this chaos.
Every
themed
episode now, it's like a semi-decent hack that then just descends into like nonsense.
All right, we'll run out of there.
Anyway. Yeah.
Massive thank you for listening to this week's episode of Paint Perspective. We're going to jump over now to the post show, which is a benefit for our patrons. So if you want to get access to longer versions of the podcast, completely ad-free in both video and audio format, check the link in the description to our Patreon. And as well as that, you'll also get access to hundreds high-quality PDF tutorials and soon-coming video tutorials of a certain Emperor's Children model.
Might have to watch it.
Okay, thank you everyone. We'll see you next week.
Right. This was not a £5 purchase. And I'm almost embarrassed to say this on air. And I don't want to look at George while I say it. I don't get what possible difference these are supposed to make.
I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed.
I've been completely duped.